Hey, you guys, welcome. I'm sure glad to that you're here this evening for tonight's episode of the Portrait Profits Show, where we uplift photographers who want to make an income, want to make a living making photography, the thing they love, also the thing that they use as their career. So once again, thank you for being here this evening for the Portrait Profits Show. We've got Amanda, who's here with us this evening, coming all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada, because she's doing some work trying to make things even better for all the rest of us here in San Antonio. So welcome, Amanda from Digital Pro Lab.
Hi, everybody. How are you today? Thank you so much for taking this evening and spending it with us, Digital Pro Lab, as well as Landers Photography School through Portrait Profits, the free class that both Jim and I have sponsored in order to bring you some relevant information to building your business. Like Jim said, I'm actually not in San Antonio right now. I'm out in Las Vegas at a pretty big conference of all lab owners where we're actually purchasing some new equipment, getting some new products that we're going to be bringing back to San Antonio. So we're really excited. I'm sad not to be in San Antonio with my team, but I'm sure they don't miss me. I'm sure they're doing just fine out there. I do want to say stay tuned all the way until the end of the actual live stream, because Digital Pro Lab has, as always, a promo code that we actually want to deliver to you as part of our Portrait Profits show. We want to, give you a little something to actually tell you thank you for spending some time with us. Typically, it's going to be a percentage off of a particular product. And I will tell you that we're actually going to do a percentage off all of our products today. So stay tuned till the very end so that you can get that particular promo code that we have ready for you. The other stuff I want to say is, if you're not familiar with Digital Pro Lab here in San Antonio, Texas, we're located just north of Loop 410 on San Pedro. We are the largest professional photo lab in San Antonio that not only caters to digital photography, but also film photography. We're the last photo lab really in South Texas that provides film services as well. So if anybody's still into film, we hope that you come see us for that as well. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us at Digital Pro Lab at 210-377-3686 or visit us online at digitalprolab.com. All right, Jim, it's all you.
Yay. Thank you, Amanda. Amanda at Digital Pro Lab is awesome. We are so lucky here in San Antonio to have her around. So thank you, Amanda. And I've got three amazing photographers who I want to bring on here in just a moment. And I guess I didn't tell them about this part. I'm going to want them to tell a little bit about who they are real quick. And so I'm going to bring them on one at a time. And the first person I'm going to bring on is Elizabeth. And so Elizabeth, let's see, here we go. Elizabeth, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been doing photography as an income source?
Yes, of course. My name's Elizabeth. I am an artist. I have always loved to paint and to draw. I have, been doing photography as an income source, I think probably maybe 3 years. So I feel fairly new at this. I have always been into photography since I was in college as a hobby. And then I just took it up again, like recently, just because I love photography. And then people started asking me, would you do my wedding? Would you do this? And how much do you charge for that? And I was like, I don't really charge. And that's how I got into this. So fairly new in this, but growing. So I'm learning. It's a continuous learning thing.
Great. Well, thank you for being here this evening, Elizabeth. And we're going to bring you back on here in just a little bit when we start asking the questions that we have for the panelists tonight. Thank you, Elizabeth. Next, I want to bring on Nina A. Padilla. Nina, tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you have been using photography as an income source.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Jim, for having me on. So my name is Nina Padilla. I am the owner of Motion Arts Media, LLC, as well as Vignette Portrait Photography, which is my contemporary brand. I've been a photographer for the past 10 years, and I recently just went full-time. I started off as a hobbyist transitioned into part-time photography, and now I have expanded my business model into commercial work and a little bit of marketing. So I do a lot of content creation, and I just went full-time with my media company and within this last month. So I'm super excited to be here now as a full-time photographer, videographer, and content creator.
Whew, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But I know you can do it. So thank you very much, Nina, for being here this evening, being one of the panelists for the Portrait Profits Show. And next, I'm going to bring on Renee Euresti from Signature Photography. Renee, tell us a little bit about you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Jim, for having me on your panel today. I'm so excited and a little bit nervous. Never done anything like this before. We are Signature Photography, Inc. Our specialty is volume photography, schools, daycares, sports, etc. We have branched out and we are branching out. Fortunately or unfortunately, the pandemic forced us to get outside our comfort zone. And now we're focusing on opening some other studios and some other types of photography. And that's one of the reasons I'm here, to share my experience and also to learn from everybody. Appreciate being here.
Wow, we appreciate you being here, Renee. You've been doing this for quite some time, and you may be one of the few photographers that I know that has multiple studios, and not just here in San Antonio. So that's fantastic.
Yes, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. You've got one in Houston and one in Boston. Is that right?
We've been at this for 19 years. That's a super long story that involves a recession, 9/11, and a bunch of other tragic events that, again, forced us out of our comfort zone. By we, I mean my wife and I ended up in the photography world. Right before the pandemic, we were hoping to expand a little. Then we really had no choice because we had nothing going on here in San Antonio, and our school clients sort of shut down for about 6 to 9 months, as everybody knows how schools were affected by the pandemic. So we partnered with Enchanted Fairies, and between them and the studio we're growing here in San Antonio, we have now one studio in Houston. We're about to open the second studio in Houston. July, where are we? Yeah, July 20th, we're going to open the second studio in Houston. September 1st, we're going to open the next studio in Austin. And I probably missed you somewhere over there, Amanda, in Las Vegas. We were there a few days ago. We're going to open our 5th studio in Las Vegas, November 1st. So got a lot of stuff going on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Thank you, Renee.
Sure.
All right, so let's bring everybody in and start by asking some questions. Now, I'm gonna tell you that those of you who are viewing this right now what the questions are going to be by putting them across the questions across the bottom. But I'm going to read them so that each one of the panelists knows which one we're talking about. Let's see. The first question is, what is your most profitable product or service, and why? So can I start off with Renee on that one?
Sure. Most profitable item. We don't sell a lot of these, but let me grab something here. We're always working on these products. We don't sell a lot of these, but they're very profitable. I don't know if it's visible. It's a little charm. We put a little picture in there. And I'll be honest with you, we get these by the thousands and probably cost a dime each. And we're able to mark them up to between $10 and $15. So it's very profitable. Remember, this is volume. It's not the high-end studio portrait photography that we're hoping to get into. The other item that's very profitable, we decided to go in-house with our printing a while back. And this is one of our most profitable items. We like to be obnoxious about our logo. So, marketing, have your logo. I can't do this everywhere. Have your logo everywhere. So one of our most profitable items is an 8x10. We sell probably 90% of our product that we sell print-wise is an 8x10. And it's very streamlined, very efficient, and very profitable if you do your printing in-house. Very simple. That's been our model for about 19 years. That's all on my end.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Renee. So now I want to bring in Nina to tell us about her most profitable product or service and why she feels that way.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. So right now, I would say my most profitable service at the moment is our commercial, more of like our social media content creation services. So just going in, creating imagery, video, promotional work for businesses, especially local businesses. Our model really supports the local, very, very local, almost hyper local. So a lot of the local businesses will look to us to help them promote their business, get them some content created, whether that be through a promotional video, some photography, product photography, really beautiful portraits, business portraits. And that has been probably the most sought after service that we have really, really started to vamp up and begin offering. So for now, that's where our profits are. And hoping to do more and more portraits as things start to open up. Yeah.
Let's bring in Elizabeth to answer the same question. What's your most profitable product or service and why?
Well, I am a wedding photographer mainly. That, of course, is the most profitable for me. I also do family sessions. I do kids, but of course, weddings are the most profitable. Those are, as you know, of course, brides, they spend a lot of money for that day. And so, of course, they're usually open to spending a lot of money in, their photography. So that, and then after the wedding, it's the albums. So the wedding albums, the wall art, the framed wall art, those in my industry, in my experience, they're the most profitable for me.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that with us. And the next question is, let's see. The next question is, how do you present your pricing to your clients? And we'll start off with Nina to answer that question first.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. So for me, a lot of my my pricing to my clients comes through just direct inquiries. Usually I'm discussing pricing on the phone with my clientele, just considering the current climate. The ideal way for me is in person, one-on-one. But with COVID and everything, a lot of people are opting for Zoom sessions or phone sessions or phone calls, basically, consults discussing pricing, and then also through email. I prefer to speak on the phone just because emails can be discarded. They can be kind of swept aside. So for me, phone call has actually been the most, the most effective as far as presenting pricing to clients. I also do a few pricing guides that I do email out when that initial inquiry comes in. But for the most part right now, discussing pricing over the phone has been probably the best way for me to book clients at the moment.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So the same question goes to, let's go to Renee.
I'm back. That's a good question. For volume photography, as I said earlier, we started this business about 19 years ago. And our first thought was volume photography, cute, kids, young, fun, easy. And what's the lowest hanging fruit we could, get out there? So one of them was school photography, packages starting at about $15 all the way to $35. Again, low hanging fruit. And that's what we went off after. The volume photography, which was average packages we sell are about $22, $24. Although it has changed in the last year, we've changed our online ordering process and sales have gone up. but it is the low-hanging fruit in the photography world. And as I mentioned earlier, we are transitioning more to studio. And we found that women, because they tend to make the decision for family portraits, anniversary portraits, they are the decision makers, and they tend to like the prices, to know the prices up front. So we're building those selections and packages as we speak. We've done a few test runs, and our packages, I think we're going to be averaging in the 500 to 800 range, and it's not quite the low-hanging fruit we've been, picking all these years. So we're moving up a little, and I think that may end up being our comfort zone. So we're going to be presenting our packages and selections up front, and we're going to test that model for a year or so and just see how it works. So that's where we're going to head with it.
Nice. Isn't it fun to transition?
It's a blast. I love learning new things, and this is most of your people here on the panel are probably used to this world, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Renee. All right, so let's bring on Elizabeth. How do you present your pricing to your clients?
So the first place where any of my clients have a view of how much I charge is on my website. So I don't put my pricing or my whole pricing on there. I just put the base price. So for example, I start off with a regular, I have a package. I have 3 different packages. In the lowest package, which is like $280 per 1 hour, is where I start. So I put on there investment starting at $280, and then I do that way so that I can kind of filter, because I know that there's a lot of clients that are looking for maybe somebody that would charge them $50 or $100, and it just saves me time, and I'd rather them saving them time as well and find somebody else that would be at their price level. So I start off with the base, and then if they see that they can afford me at that price, then they usually contact me. From there, I talk to them on the phone, and then we kind of discuss what they're looking for. If they're looking for a one hour session, I also do mini sessions. Some people are looking for 2-hour sessions because they want to do different locations. So depending on what they're looking for, then we discuss a little bit the pricing and what their packages include, and then from there, I send them that information so that they have something tangible or visual that they can refer to, because sometimes they have to see it, not just hear it, for it to stick. So I send it to their email, and they can go over it, go over what each package includes, and from there, that's just for the sessions. From there, they have the option after their session, they have the option to also print. If they want to print, I have a lot of options for wall art, for metal prints, you name it. And so those pricing, that's something separate besides their sessions, and they get a chance to look into that as well. During the consult, I kind of mentioned that sometimes they ask, and how much would a print, if I want to get a print, or how much would an album be? And I kind of mentioned it a little bit, but they don't get a chance to see that until I send them my whole, through the email. I send them that information, and they can look through the galleries and everything, and see the little shop, because from their gallery they have access to an online shop, and they can see the pricing there, and all of that. So it's like a whole process from the beginning through. You kind of have to keep on reminding them so that they're not surprised at the end. I don't like to keep like surprises, because I don't want to have like afterwards somebody be like, oh, I didn't even see this one coming. So I am very transparent with my pricing. So yeah, that's how I do it. I hope I was able to explain it. Sorry.
So no pricing surprises. I get it. That makes sense.
I give them time to have that throw up. You know how some people, when they see something that's a little bit above their budget, they're like, this is too much. But I get them time to like assimilate and see the prices. And if it's a little bit too much, then maybe think, oh, what if we stretch our budget a little? You know what I mean? So I give them plenty of time for that.
Let me keep you on just a little bit, because the next question is along those same lines. So describe your key customer interactions from inquiry to the sale. So the first time they've called or filled out a web form, somehow reached out to you, into the moment then that you actually consider them a client.
Okay, so usually they'll contact me either through Yelp or through Facebook. They'll send me a question about how much is your pricing for this. Most people, they just want to know the pricing. They're kind of like chopping around for pricing. So what I try to do always is talk to them on the phone. That way you get a chance to actually explain what you offer, because everybody has they offer different things. Some people just want to do the digitals, other people just do custom art. And every photographer in business is very different in what they offer and what they're offering and their niche sometimes. So I try to get on the phone with them. That way you kind of see if they have their level of their level of investment, if they really want to do it or they're just shopping around, and that way you can gauge if they're your client or they're not your client, or maybe they're not your ideal client, and maybe you kind of want to just refer them off to somebody else. So that first consult, it's ideal in person, but right now with the pandemic and everything, obviously everybody prefers to do it on the phone. So I try to do it at least on the phone. And most of the time when somebody is willing to invest time to make a phone call with you on the phone, they have what it takes to follow through. And when they're just inquiring and they don't want to get on the phone with you to talk about it, then it's their level of interest is not there yet. So when I get to talk to a client on the phone, most of the time it's already a done deal, or my personality, or just the way the interaction goes. You kind of have to have that connection for somebody to decide whether or not they want to hire you or not. So it's very much that relationship that starts to build at that moment. So that's kind of like my process with them. I try to build some sort of connection, some sort of relationship with them, because it's very much needed, especially if you're going to do their photography session. You need to have that so that they feel comfortable with you, to be able to bring those, emotions out of them. And it's hard to do that if you wait until the last moment to try to build that. So the more time you have with them as a client before your session, the better, in my opinion. So that's kind of like the process that I go through. So it's a lot of constant interactions, a lot of back and forth through text messages, questions. Yeah, so that's basically my process. That's before the session. After the session is something completely different, depending on what they want. Some people want albums, so you have to design the album, and it's a back and forth between them. If they just want wall art, I'm transitioning into in-person sales, because that sells a lot more. It does. I have noticed that. It is so much, wow, it brings yourself so much higher, because you are able to guide them. You can help them, you can show them, educate them. When you just rely on online, most of the people don't know what they want. They can't visualize it. They don't know what size they want, what would look good in their house. They don't have that vision that we have as photographers, so they can't see it. And so if you do in-person sales, that drives it so much higher. It is very significant. So I'm working on that, hopefully soon.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth. So to those of you who are watching us via Facebook or YouTube, or however you're watching us, I want to encourage you to encourage our panelists by clicking that like button, or the heart, or the care button, the person hugging a heart, and just to encourage them and show them appreciation, because we sure do appreciate the fact that Elizabeth, Nina, and Renee are here. And so the same question, just describe your key customer interactions from inquiry to sale. I want to ask that question of Nina.
Yeah, man, I just want to say that Elizabeth, super spot on so many things. So I really appreciate that answer. I also agree in-person sales is going to be the best way to go. With the pandemic, I had to kind of like transition that a little bit. And I too am hoping to work my way back up to that. But for me, because a lot of my work is community-based, is going out into the community, talking with local businesses, and just being a consumer myself. So a lot of my inquiries and a lot of my interactions come from face-to-face contact. I go out, I'm out in the community, I talk to my community. And so also, like what Elizabeth was saying, a lot of the trust building and just getting getting seats, right? Like getting people in seats for you comes from really spending a lot of time with them before the session. I have run into a couple of times where it's really quick, kind of a fast turnaround. And yes, you do the session. And most of the times they're fantastic. But I have found that you really, really connect more with the client when you spend more time with them. So I go out into the community a lot. I was at one point a professional dancer. I also taught in the city for a really long time. So I tend to really sway more towards the performing arts. And because of that, because of what I did before and all of that experience that I had, I really kind of grew into like a niche. And that was really great because people know you on that artistic level, but also on that professional level. And so they're able to connect with you a little bit more. So for me, really, really connecting face-to-face with people or, now over the phone has been something that has really, really helped get people through the door. And then also too, for me, I try and book them on the inquiry when they call me for that initial consult. I try and book right away with them their design consults where we talk about their wardrobe and how they want to be photographed. And I also do scene design. So if that's something that they need, because I have a theater background, I can do set and lighting design fairly easily. And so a lot of that, it's very, very custom what we do. And I find that people really appreciate that. Like some people don't want just one thing. They really want to be catered to, and I'm here for it. Like I love doing that. I love doing custom work. So really connecting with the humans that you're going to photograph, I have found has been the absolute best way to get people in the door and to get your images sold.
Perfect. Great. Thank you, Nina.
Thanks, Jim.
And the same question is going to Renee. Describe your key customer interactions from inquiry to sale.
That is a great question. Elizabeth and Nina have already covered, I think, the highlights, the great points of making a connection with a client, consults, establishing a relationship and trust. So I'm going to back up 19 years and maybe explain why we're so interested in getting our studio going. When we started School Photography, Signature Photography, Inc., we knew somewhere along the way we were going to get inquiries for something other than volume photography, school and sports. And sure enough, after a year or two at it, we started getting inquiries for weddings and quinces and reunions and things like that. And I need to probably stop a moment, and I need to be totally honest. I'm not a photographer. That's not my background. My background is marketing. And I love the idea of running a creative business. I'm not going to share my previous life story. I'm just going to start with signature photography. And photography is almost as creative as you can get, especially nowadays with digital and special effects and all these programs and filters. You can be extremely creative with photography now. And you don't even have to be a professional because there's some really cool things out there that the phones can do. So my background is marketing and advertising and running a business. And I love the idea of running a creative business. And I love the idea of running a photography business. So along the way, I picked up some photography skills. brought in some great photographers. One of them is Jen Charo, and she's pretty much takes care of most of our shoots that are not volume. And so along the way, that I digress there, along the way, we got inquiries for those types of shoots. And so I had to bring someone on who can handle them. I did a few. I learned along the way, made some terrible mistakes, did some great events, and now I'm probably average to above average, but I'm in no way probably near Nina or Elizabeth's level. But again, we do have some people on staff who can take care of that, and I'm proud of that in our business model. So my perspective is business, and business, successful business is about relationships. So when we have someone call us and it's a principal or a director from a daycare, and they want to talk portraits, fall portraits, class pictures, graduations, etc., we set up a meeting, we get to know each other, and we try and develop that golden word, that relationship with them. And once you build up that relationship and that trust, and they have that confidence in us that we can deliver, usually we get those clients and we sign them on for quite a few years. So one of the other reasons we went into volume is that low-hanging fruit again, is when you get a school or a daycare, usually if you do a good job, great service, and you deliver, you'll have a relationship and a business relationship with them for 3, 5, 10, 15 years. So that repeat business does build some financial security. So that was one of the reasons we decided to get into volume. So when principal, director calls us, we try and create that relationship. We let them know we're going to take care of them. We're going to take care of their kids, the parents. We take care of all order issues. And that's my job, to convince them that I will be here for them. And if that goes well, then we usually get them as a client. And along the way, we got inquiries about weddings and quinces and bar mitzvahs and reunions. And same thing, just like Nina and Elizabeth said, building that relationship, having them turn to us and know that we're going to have to deliver. The first few portrait sessions that we did in our studio, I can remember them distinctly. I remember some mom coming in, and we were going to do the session, and I said, okay, here we go. And I asked her, which I shouldn't have, what do you want? And she turned to me and she said, I don't know, you're the professional. And it hit me. They trust us. They turn to us, and they want us to create the best portrait, the most flattering pictures, and we are supposed to be the professionals. So I learned a lot that one session, that I do need to know my stuff, and I need to know to deliver, and I need to be able to create the portraits that they want, that they don't even know they want. And although I'm just maybe above average with Jennifer on board, I know we can deliver a lot better creativity and portraits for our clients. But getting them there and bringing them in, we've learned along the way. And like I said before, we're learning the portrait studio, the studio portrait process, and the selling on studios and selling studio selections and pricing and reveals and all that. We're experimenting. We have a reveal wall. We might set up a digital type presentation. I have learned something though. I don't know if it was Elizabeth, I forget here and I apologize. Somebody said, nothing sells like live presentations, and being there with your client and having that connection and telling them why this portrait is so beautiful, because they do turn to you and your professional opinion. And having them there in your studio and doing a presentation or a reveal does increase your sales tremendously. I have learned though, and I'm not contradicting that, and they may not even compare, but through Enchanted Fairies and our partnership with them, and because of the pandemic, they had no choice but to turn to Zoom presentations. And this business model that we're working with them in partnership has shown that sales have gone down a little bit, but not as much as you think they would. Apparently, a lot of parents, especially moms, and buying their kids' portraits, tend to buy quite a bit even through Zoom presentations. But nothing presents a live presentation. I have to admit that. And I'll be honest with you, I'm learning some valuable information here. I'm going to take it to heart, and we'll probably apply it to our studio model as we build it more and more. So getting them to purchase and buy the highest or most expensive package for us is a challenge, because We're used to selling $30 packages. So now we're turning to 300, 700. We're trying to get to the $1,000 level. That's sort of a challenge for us because we need to know that we have that value. I know we can deliver. We just have to have the confidence to say, yes, this is what it's worth. And part of it is just experience and history and knowing that what we deliver is worth that much. So right now, like I said before, our market is in the $300 to $700 range. We're comfortable with that. And most decision makers who usually look at the pictures tend to be the mom or the woman. And we're comfortable working with them and hopefully giving them the best value for their dollar. I hope that answered it somewhere in there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good job, Renee. So we appreciate that. And it's great to hear a totally different perspective. I mean, you made a point that you don't feel that you're a photographer. At least you didn't start off that way. Whereas a lot of other people, they feel like they've got that calling. And it was, a photographer is a marketer and seller of photographic services. Yeah. And you definitely are describing that, and that's what we are. We feel like we're more than that, but bottom line is we're a marketer and seller of photographic services.
Yeah, so we're running a business.
Thank you. That's right. Thank you, Renee. So all three of you guys, Elizabeth, Nina, Renee, great answers. So we definitely appreciate that. We've got a couple more questions that we're going to ask. I want to encourage those of you who are watching on Facebook and on YouTube to comment. If you comment, those comments will show up on the screen if they're relative to what we're doing, of course. But your comments will show up, and your questions will get answered if we can fit them in. And so please please ask your questions. I'm sure that you've got a few of them based on these great answers that Elizabeth, Nina, and Renee are giving. That's probably spurring some other thoughts and questions, and we encourage you to put those in the chat area. So, as well as hitting like and love, we love that too. Before I go to the next question, I want to make sure you guys have some URLs, some website addresses. Our two main sponsors for the Portrait Profits Show are Digital Pro Lab at digitalprolab.com and Landers Photography School at landersphotoschool.com. And we promote this via the Photo Essay Camera Club, and that's at meetup.com/photo essay. So let's get back to these questions. The next question: what advice would you give yourself if you were just starting out? That means if you were to just stop what you're doing, let's say it's something else, you were to start today, you probably would do some things differently than you've done before. And I would like to start off with Nina to answer that question.
Oh man. I feel like I've learned so much. So I actually, if you remember, Jim, I actually took your marketing class first before I took any of your other classes. And I'm glad that I did it that way, but I also needed time to learn what my niche was, because I am very niche with the performing arts and all of that. So I guess the advice that I would give to myself would be to find what just lights you on fire. Like, find what that is for you. And that's going to change, right? Just as you grow and as you learn. But find what you want to do and what you're passionate about. And, whether it's video or dance photography or newborn photography, whatever it is, and go for it. Just go for it. And also I would like to tell myself, that just to take your time, and there's not a huge rush. I felt like for a very long time, for very many years, I was super impatient. Like I just wanted things to work out, and I wasn't giving myself enough time to really, really just dive in and get my hands dirty and learn through experience, because that's how I learn. I learn a lot through doing. I'm a very kinesthetic learner. And So yeah, I would just like to tell my newer self, if I were to start all over again, to take your time. It's okay. Like, there's not a rush. Like, just find what you love, find your passion, and then just go for it. And then along the way, I learned a lot of marketing tips from you, Jim, but along the way, you'll learn those things, because I didn't start off as a marketer. I'm not like I don't have a business degree. So Renee, I'm a little jealous of you right now, because I'm like, he knows all the marketing, right? And I'm still learning all of that. I'm still like really diving into it. So it's really, really awesome. It's just an awesome journey. And just, yeah, you guys do what you love. Love what you do every day, all day.
Awesome, Nina. So learning slower, what does that mean to you? Does that mean spending time with other photographers? Does that mean watching lots of YouTube videos? Does it mean taking classes? What does that mean to you?
All of it. I do enjoy doing like the photography classes with groups, but I find that sometimes things can get a little lost. Like, there's either too many people, or the model's trying to look in all different directions. So for me, shooting one-on-one, getting in a studio, I'm in my home studio right now. I still practice in my home studio. I still practice lighting, really finding what works for you, what your aesthetic is, what you like to look at. Looking at YouTube videos is great, right? Because you can like YouTube anything. So you can do all of that and really find what works for you. Because for me, hands-on works. Some people can read a book, some people can listen to a seminar. But I feel that I have found that learning how you learn is also like fundamental in just learning photography and videography and really anything.
Nice. Thank you for elaborating on that. Great answer. Sorry, hopefully I didn't put you on the spot by asking you some
you're good,
questions, because you answered it so well.
I love questions.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So same question. What advice would you give yourself if you were starting today? What advice are you going to give yourself if you're starting today? And that question goes to Elizabeth.
What advice would I give myself if I was starting today? Oh my goodness. I think one of my biggest problems in the beginning was confidence. I could not even call myself a photographer. I just didn't even feel worthy of that title. And I think it's just, you need to learn first. You need to work on, just growing, like growing your skills, growing your confidence, learning how to value what you offer. For the longest time, I just didn't understand. I kind of felt like I was just like, why would somebody pay for this, And then I started to like understand why people would like look for other photographers, like a professional photographer, to do a session. And I started to understand by the reactions of my clients that what we're really selling is not really a photo or a picture. What we're selling is like emotions. And, basically capturing those emotions that sometimes they can't do, or they can't find somebody with the artistic ability to do it. Since I have always loved art. I'm about creating art, and I'm the kind of person that I see a moment and I grab it and I try to freeze it, and I try to do that for the people that look for me, that want me to do this for them. I try to offer this as a gift to people. If I didn't get paid for this, I would still do it because I love it. I learned the value of photography a long time ago, and it was just a personal experience that I had. And real briefly, I'll kind of mention it. My grandma passed away, and when somebody that you love passes away, you kind of all of a sudden get the urge to like see them. You want to see them because they're not there anymore. And I realized that there was nobody had any photos of her. Like nobody had any photographs of my grandma. The only photographs, decent photographs that I had of her were the ones that I just had taken with my cell phone, because I have always been about taking photos unconsciously. I didn't even consider myself a photographer, but I took photos of everything, of every single thing that I saw around me that would happen on an everyday. And I would take snapshots of this and snapshots of that. And those were the only photographs that I had of her, sadly. And it was just like two. Of her whole lifetime. She passed away when she was like 80 something. So I once read a quote. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Mad Hatter's tea house. I know that they closed already due to the pandemic, but for the longest time there was this like a board, and it had a quote on there of a very famous San Antonio photographer that the first time I saw it, I was drawn to it. It really resonated with me. And I have it on my website because it is exactly what I believe. And it says, even as our memories capture moments in time, photography provides a way to preserve the moments we never want to let go of. We're always trying to remember those moments, and our minds, unfortunately, that's just the way they are. They fade. Even when you want to remember somebody's face, their voice, it fades after a while. And that's just the way it is. But photography provides a way of freezing those moments that you want to keep in your memory forever. Like you don't want to let go of them. And so I kind of learned how to value that, and I didn't know how to value that. And it's been a journey for me. So, for somebody else to value you and to pay you to do something, more than anything, I feel like they're buying into what you believe. And I'm going to go back to what Nina said a little while ago. You first have to find your purpose. What is your purpose? And they will be attracted to you, to your business, because of what your business and the purpose of your business represents. If it's aligned to what they believe, then they will find you, and you will be they're going to be your clients. So that's one of the biggest things that I had to find out. And another of the biggest things that I learned by messing up horribly, even though it wasn't really my fault, but you have to learn how to recognize who your clients are and who they are not. And at the beginning, I was so hyperactive, and I just wanted to do photography that I would not recognize when somebody was not my ideal client. And when you're better off letting them go and find someone else that will serve them, sometimes you avoid a lot of problems, because some people are just they don't respect you. They don't value what you represent. You're not ever gonna, they're not for you. And so learning how to see those red flags, and just recognizing them and letting them go instead of trying to get every client out there that contacts you. I think that was one of the most valuable lessons that I learned, that sometimes it's better to just let them go. So that's one of the things that I would, if I was starting over, is, first find, your purpose, what you believe in, and build your confidence so that you can price yourself accordingly. And from there, you can start building, So that's what it is for me. Awesome.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So two of the takeaways, there's a bunch of takeaways in there, but two of the ones that I really like, and the ones that I talk about in my classes are that she mentioned, are defining your target market, being very specific with defining your target market, knowing who those people are. And those people are people you like, the people you like to be around, those who make you happy to work with them. That they don't frustrate. If you're working in some kind of a retail environment, you've got to work with everyone who comes along. But if you are a photographer who's self-employed, then you get to pick and choose who you want to work with. And you should. You do that by defining what it is you enjoy, who it is you enjoy being around. And the other thing she mentioned was about why people hire photographers. People hire photographers for emotional reasons, not logical ones. And so thank you for bringing that up. Both Nina and Elizabeth did a good job bringing that up. And so now I want to ask this question of Renee. Renee, what advice would you give yourself if you were starting today?
Well, maybe this is a little sappy, but I would try to tell myself to slow down and enjoy the journey, which is sort of hard to do when you're first starting out. You got bills to pay, loans to pay, a business to start. But enjoying the journey, the ups and downs, the good and the bad. I can't tell you how many people we've hired in this business that just don't work, and they're great, they're fantastic, they're beautiful, they're talented. But volume photography can get monotonous and repetitive and ironic, isn't it? I just said something repetitive. And it's hard for a lot of people to love this type of work. So we've had lots of challenges and growing pains in good ways and bad, but I think I would tell myself to try and enjoy the journey. But Nina said something about learning slower. I think sort of ties into that. You don't need to rush into it. Just take everything in and value it, especially if it's from people you respect and people who know the business. I think Elizabeth said something about confidence and growing, and I truly needed a lot of that. Some of us didn't have the support going to college and all that. We had to learn it on our own. I had some good friends and colleagues to learn from, some great mentors. So I think I did some things right by turning to people who did know their stuff, but I think I was too anxious to get to a certain point of a level of success to maybe not enjoy the journey so much. I think that's probably the biggest advice I would give myself is you can have your goals, you can go after them, but you should try and enjoy that journey a bit. I did make a note here, which sort of contradicts what I'm about to say. I have learned along the way. Of course, I've been on this journey a bit longer than Nina and Elizabeth. And I learned somewhere along the way, maybe in my mid-30s, early 40s, that I never really pushed myself. And whatever I set my goals to be for the company or for myself or for those around me, I don't think they were as great or as much as maybe they should have been. I think lots of times the goals we met, I'm not going to say it was easy, especially the last year and a half, 2 years, but it seems like we would meet those goals at one point or another. I think if we had set higher goals, we might not have reached them, but it would have been, I think, a lot more fun to get to, I'll just be very blunt. I was hoping, we could be $1 million company within about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And later realized, why didn't I say a $10 million company? And maybe we wouldn't make it to a $2 million company. Maybe we'd only make it to a 1.1, whatever the case. And I might have felt like a failure. But I've never pushed myself beyond, I think, what I could reach. And I know I'm getting a little too philosophical here probably, but I think I would also tell myself to set goals that are maybe beyond my reach, beyond maybe what I can comprehend, and figure it out along the way. Because that's one thing I've learned over the years is we say yes to any type of photography, any type of business. And some of it, we don't have all the answers right away, but we figure it out before we have to do the event, the shoot, the corporate shoot, whatever the event might be. I think I would have told myself to just be a little more aggressive on the business end. On the photography end, I think I've turned to some good people. You included, Jim, Phil Cantor, who used to run, I'm sorry, I'm going to mess up the name, Amanda, Digital Pro Lab, I think, or Photo Express. I turned to him quite a bit too, and other people in the business. And I think I should have done that sooner in my life. And I would have also told myself to turn to mentors, turn to people who can help you along the way. I think a lot of people who are in a position to help like to give direction and advice and open doors. I mean, we still have to do the work. I still have to do the work, but having someone to sort of guide you and say, hey, you're going in the right direction, helps put our minds at ease and know that we're doing something right. And that's one of the reasons I'm here today is with the studio, we're calling it Studio One, with our second studio, Studio One. It's a new world for us to do family portraits and actually focus on it and do quinces and weddings and actually say we're purposely going to go for that type of business. We've never done that. We have done those types of shoots, but they were usually on the side when some teacher or some principal says, hey, do you do reunions? So like I said, we always say yes, but now we're purposely going to go after that type of business. And we have to have a system and a model in place. And you, Jim, and I have had a few discussions about that, and I'll be talking to other people in the business. And I think that if I could have just told myself at a young age to appreciate the journey and turn to those who have been there for advice, I think I'd be maybe further along than where we are now. I think I would have learned a lot more. And to be honest, I think it would have been maybe more valuable than my college education. Learning from those who are actually in the business is so invaluable. And hearing Nina and Elizabeth share some of their insight and experience, I'm learning from them. So I appreciate being on this panel, and I think every day is a learning experience. And I think that's what I tell myself. Enjoy the journey and turn to others for guidance and mentoring. That's a good question.
That's a good answer.
Thank you.
So you talked about maybe some areas that you did were somewhat in your comfort zone. Some of them were just barely outside of your comfort zone, but you might have been a little more aggressive with that comfort zone. If you're starting off today, if you're talking to yourself, what would you do today? That makes sense. I think a lot of us kind of look back at what we've done so far and say, I probably could have pushed a little harder. I probably could have done a little more. And then the question would be, well, how would I do that? And you explained that by going and seeking out advice of those who are doing it, those who can help you. So talking to these different individuals who've experienced the things that you want to experience. That's great advice, Renee.
You're here. Yeah. I thank you for putting in your words, but yes, I truly believe in that. Thanks.
Of course. Man, great answers to that question of what advice would you give yourself if you're starting out? I think you guys should ask that question of yourself. If you've been doing this for a while, what would you do? What would you say to yourself? Because I'm sure there's some things that you would do just the same. And I bet you there's some things you'd do differently. Ask yourself that question. All right. Before we get to the next question, I want to tell you about a couple of things that are coming up. I want you to put on your calendar the next Portrait Profits episode, which is this coming Monday at noon. And it's the topic is how to get sponsors and alliances, even if you're new. There is a lot that can happen when you have these types of marketing tools in place. And that's what they are. They're marketing tools. Now, you may have a specific idea on what sponsors are, a specific idea of what alliances are. We're going to be talking about those and how you can get them. It doesn't matter that you're new. There's other businesses that are new too. They want to work with you. And so we'll be talking about that on the next one. And then the one after that, so not this next Monday, but the week after that, we're going to be, that'll be on July 26th, also at noon. All these are at noon, with the exception of the second Monday of every single month, which we're doing right now at 6:30 in the evening. But all the rest are at noon on Mondays. And you will find them in the news feeds of the Facebook pages that we simulcast to. So even if you're not able to watch it live, there's a lot of advantages to watching it live, but if you're not able to watch it live, you can watch the recording of it afterwards. But on July 26th at noon, it's going to be understanding contracts. Guys, if you're starting your business 30, 40 years ago, maybe you didn't have to really concern yourself with this. But today, don't skip this one. You have to have contracts. It's got to be part of your normal everyday thing. We will have attorney and photographer Alicia Calzada explain to us the important things that you need to know about understanding contracts. Put this on your calendar. All right. Something else that's coming up for those who are between the ages of 5 and 15, the annual San Antonio, and that should say youth tournament. So it says annual San Antonio photo tournament. The annual San Antonio photo tournament is in October, and I'll talk about that later. That's the 9th annual San Antonio photography tournament is in October. But what I want to talk about right now is the youth tournament for ages 5 to 15. So if you have kids or you know of any kids, go to saphotoevents.com to get information. That's coming up this coming Sunday, a week from yesterday. This coming Sunday. A lot of prizes, and it's an instant gratification photographers tournament where there will be 10 different categories. We'll subdivide the ages. We'll make it 5 to 8, 9 to 12, 13 to 15, so that the 6-year-olds aren't competing against the 14-year-olds. So we'll split that up, but there'll be 10 different categories for each one of them. The kids will get the list at the beginning. They don't get it ahead of time. They get the list at the beginning, and this is virtual, so they are wherever they're at, as long as they have an internet connection. They could be at home, they could be at a park, they could be in Las Vegas. I mean, who goes to Las Vegas? So I should have brought you up when you were waving. Yeah, who goes to Las Vegas? There we go. You could be anywhere as long as you have an internet connection, because this tournament is virtual. But you'll get the list at the beginning. You'll photograph as many of those categories of the 10 categories as you want to, and submit them before noon. So between 10:30 and 11:55, those need to be submitted, because the judges will start judging at noon. Any images that come in after that, they won't see them. So they have to be submitted before that time. But then the judges are going to do their thing. It'll take them a couple hours to do their work. And then beginning at 2 o'clock, we will start announcing winners. Did I mention this is an instant gratification photographer's challenge? This happens now. It's not a popularity contest. We don't put the photographs on Facebook and the one who gets the most likes is the winner. Nope. We have real judges who are volunteering their time to make this happen. And when we announce the winners, we'll announce both the winners and their prizes and their certificates. We will email to them the same day. Everything happens right now. And by about 4:30, the whole thing's over. It's in the history books. And we move on to continuing to plan for the 9th annual San Antonio Photography Tournament for everyone else, ages 12 and up, that's happening in October. So go to saphotoevents.com to get information on that. And one last announcement. If you want to get away from the Texas heat and go to the fun, cool mountains, there's a Colorado photo adventure that Robin and I are going to, and we encourage you to join us. That's August 8th through 12th. You can go to pagosaphotoworkshops.com. Again, pagosaphotoworkshops.com. Come join Robin and I. We're going to have a blast, and we'd like to have a blast with you. pagosaphotoworkshops.com. All right. So I have one more planned question. And that question, let's put that up. Good one. Amanda, should I ask that one right now or ask it last? Putting her on the spot. Okay, we'll do that. All right. So here is a question for the 3 panelists, Elizabeth, Nina, and Euresti, and Renee. What continues to motivate you in doing your business in photography? What motivates you to keep on keeping on? And let's start off with Elizabeth to answer that question.
Okay, there you go. What continues to motivate me in my business? I love art. I love creating. I love photography. Like I said earlier, even if they didn't pay me, I would still do it. I would probably do it for free, but I don't want to be a starving artist. So I decided to, if you can do what you love and get paid for it, that is awesome. That's what everybody I think aspires in life, to do what motivates you. And what, like I said earlier, you got to find your purpose. And it took me a while in life to finally find my purpose. And this is my purpose. My purpose is to create, to be able to capture beauty and like show it. And you know, it makes me happy. It makes me feel fulfilled. This is what fulfills me. It's what I feel like I was born to do. So that's what motivates me. And I love the freedom of being able to like your own business. I worked in the corporate, I still work in the corporate world with the Marriott for years. And it's very, you don't have the freedom. And, you know, it's a job and you're building somebody else's dream. You're working for somebody else, but here you're working for your dream. You're building your dream. And I'd rather build my dream anytime, any day. So that's what keeps on motivating me. And I love doing it. And so that's what I'm doing.
That's fantastic, Elizabeth. So is that something you realized in the beginning, or is that something that you evolved, that feeling is what you evolved into?
I always knew I loved art since I was a kid. I was always really good at drawing. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, you're so good!" But my mom is very practical. She's like from a ranch in Mexico, and she doesn't believe in art. I was like the black weirdo. That how did you become into drawing? Like, what was the purpose of that? Like, you can't make money out of that. And so I always had the belief that you can't really do anything with drawing, painting, creating, photography, like arts. I didn't want to be a starving artist. And so I went the practical route and I got a real job and I got paid really well and I stayed stuck there for most of my life and I was so unhappy. I love the place. I love my coworkers. I love, I learned so much from it, but when you're just, that's not what you're meant to do, that's not what you were born to do, and and you feel, I started feeling depressed. There was nothing wrong. It was just, I knew there was something else for me. And so I started doing what I loved. I started doing photography. And when you do what you love, everything falls into place. You do what you love and you get good at it because you love it, and you practice, and practice makes perfect. And then people start paying you for it. And then it's like, you realize that you can do what you love and also make money out of it. You just have to learn how to incorporate the business aspect out of it so that you're profitable. And so, it's a journey. It took me a lot of time to figure out that you're just happier when you're aligned to what your purpose is and what you were born to do. And so finally I figured it out, and I gave up trying to swim against the current and try to do the practical thing. I was like, well, might as well do what you love to do, And so that's what I'm doing. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
You
definitely appreciate that, and we appreciate you sharing the background story too, because we all have our different background stories that we may not really share, or we may not feel a need to share, but they're part of us. We have certain ways that we view the world. I call it a belief filter, but it's just all the experiences that we've had. It's filled with the people that we look up to, their opinions, the books that we've read, the classes that we've taken. Our belief filter is just something that we see life through. And that's why the way we see life, the way we see certain things is different than the next person. It doesn't mean that next person's wrong. It means that they have a different belief filter that they're viewing the world through. It'd be like if one person was viewing life through a red filter and the next person was viewing life through a blue filter. We're going to see things slightly different as a result of that. And it, of course, is much more complex than that when we're talking about human feelings, emotions, and experiences. And so thank you for sharing all that with us. Thanks, Elizabeth. All right, so the next panelist I'm bringing up is going to be Renee. Renee, what motivates you in your business? What continues to motivate you?
Well, I wrote some notes, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't work for a living. I have fun. That's basically it. On a very selfish level, for example, today, I had a client meeting this morning for a school. And these relationships, I go back years. And the lady, I go to the school, it's pretty much abandoned, and I'm walking the whole campus trying to find her. I email and call, and I figure something happened, and no biggie, we'll reset, have another meeting, a meeting some other time. She calls me about an hour later, and she's sharing this wonderful news. Her daughter just had a baby, and she's going on, and it's just as precious, as beautiful as it gets. And that's not work, that's a relationship. And she's sharing these intimate stories, and I get to do that for a living. I get to have these relationships with great people. We're all in it for the right reasons. Great environment for the kids, have them learn safe, and we're same for photography. You want to keep them safe. You want to get good pictures. We're all there for the same reasons. And a lot of my relationships with clients are like that. We go beyond setting up picture dates and delivering orders, picking up orders. We get to know each other and a little about each other's lives, and I get paid for that, and I can't really complain, and it's very selfish. I came in today, I get to sit down with Jen, and we talked about our plans for our studio here, Studio One, and it's all very nebulous and not sure what's going to happen, and that's just fun. We're learning along the way. Preparing for the Houston studio, never done 2 studios like this ever. And I'm learning, and I'm having a ball, and I know it's very selfish, but it's fun. Something very personal. I get to work with my best friend, with someone I really enjoy working with my girlfriend, who happens to be my wife. We seldom fight at work. We enjoy what we're doing, sort of keeping our separate departments, but that's fun too. Again, very selfish. The people we hire, they might not all work out, but usually they're here for the right reasons. They try to make it work, and we see them along their journey. And in the last 19 years, there's been about a dozen people that we've hired that I'm proud to say we helped grow a little and help them along the way with their career, and they've gone on to bigger and better things. And I'm just so happy, again, very selfishly, happy that we could be a small part of that. And it has nothing to do with work. It's just enjoying the process, enjoying the journey, as I think I said earlier. That's what I'm trying to do. But on a less selfish level, one thing that keeps us going as a whole is, I wrote some notes here, is we're one of the few industries, and to be lucky enough to make a living, and what we do basically is stop time. That's what we do. And we get those precious moments that people really value. I'm trying to look at my notes here. And we get to do that for a living. And I'm going to share a story here. I hope I don't go too long. I can share hundreds of these stories that some of them just make us cry. They're so beautiful. I was there taking pictures. I'm going to say about in our early years, in the first 3 to 5 years at a middle school. And the student was in 7th grade, and he's walking up to take pictures, and he's acting very shy and quiet. And before he took his pictures, he was sitting over there to the side, and I noticed people not making eye contact, his peers, his other 7th graders. I thought they were just being sort of mean. They weren't making eye contact. He was trying not to make eye contact. I noticed he was wearing sort of a feminine type sweater. Maybe that has something to do with it. He's holding a little stuffed rabbit. Maybe that's had something to do with it. So he finally walks up to take his picture, and we have a prop, and he asked if we could take a picture with his rabbit. And because of administrative purposes, we always need a close-up of the headshot for ID pictures, for the cafeteria, for the official portrait, for yearbook. So I told him, let's put, I asked for the name of the rabbit. I think it was Bunny. And I said, let's put Bunny down for the moment. Let's take one headshot. We took a headshot. Let's take a body shot. We did a body shot. And I said, okay, let's bring Bunny in. And I put him prominently on the prop and put his arm around it. And Bunny was right there with him. I said, okay, let's do a big smile for Bunny. And he gave this huge smile. And he seemed a little happier. And I hope I made a difference. And, we went on to our next shoot, the next 10, 20, 30 shoots that season. And I kid you not, about a month and a half, 2 months later, we get a letter explaining everything that happened that day. So the sweater he was wearing was not his, it was his sister's. And the rabbit he was holding was not his, it was his sister's. And he was wearing the sweater and holding the rabbit the mom shared. And when he saw the picture that they purchased, he was ecstatic. He was, over the moon, and the mom was so happy, and we just made his day. And he says, what you didn't know is a few months earlier, his sister had passed away, and that was her sweater and her rabbit. And so moments like those, I don't know if it was Elizabeth who says, we would do this, and we wouldn't have to get paid. We have hundreds, if not thousands of moments like those in volume photography, where we find out later about some child that we photographed and these precious stories. And it doesn't get better than that. Again, very selfish of me, but it's just, we get a lot more than we put in sometimes. And that just keeps me going, because I know it's going to happen again and again. And I know these parents that just spend $24, $15, these pictures do mean a lot to them. They're the pictures that they put up there, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, all the way to senior. They're the pictures that we take. As cheesy as they are, these people really love them. And that kept us going for a long time and keeps us going right now as we transition to other types of photography. I did write another note down. This is more business oriented. Learning. I love learning. Doesn't always stay in here, but I like to learn new things. And right now, I think Elizabeth and Nina, anybody, I think in any type of business where you have to be exposed to social media for marketing, for exposure, for business, I mean, you're always learning something new about social media, how to market yourself, how to sell yourself, new styles and practices for photography, the technical part of photography, faster, newer, higher res cameras, lights, strobes, you name it. There's always something we're learning. And I love that. And from my end of the I don't know, spectrum, I'm older. The more you learn, the more your gray matter sort of tends to hang around and just helps you overall. So I love the learning process. To me, that's one of the most important things from a business perspective, and what keeps me going is just learning something new, whether it's opening a studio that we've never done before, or doing studio photography as a business model, studio portrait, sorry, as a business model. That's something new to us, and learning that process and how to handle it and hopefully be successful at it. To me, it's part of that journey and being excited about learning something new. So on a business level, I think what keeps me going is learning. But on a selfish, just personal level, just working with great people and having these great stories and these great moments that in this photography industry, we all get to have those moments with clients, and there's nothing else like it. That was a great question. Thank you for letting me go on and on.
No, of course. Great answers too. I mean, especially, a lot of wonderful things in there. I think the thing that touched me the most was the story of the boy coming up to the camera, and the fact that his sister had passed away. That's a powerful story. And as photographers, we have this privilege of being able to capture these moments and these emotions and hear these stories. And we love this kind of thing. We creatives, we enjoy this. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not hurting us a little bit. I'm glad that you had some things to say after, because after you told us that part of the story, that you had some more things to say, because I was holding back just a bit, a little bit of tears there, and I didn't want to come on like that. And so thank you for that. But we actually, we feel this. This is a strong emotion for us creatives. We want to feel like we're helping, that we're contributing, and we want to create things that people appreciate. And we actually feel inside. If someone likes our work, we feel it. It's part of us. If someone doesn't like our work, we feel that too. For some people, that photograph is just a piece of paper, but to us, we're emotionally connected to it and the story and the people that it represents. So, man, thank you for bringing that story and all the wonderful things you just shared with us. Thank you, Renee. one more person to answer that question of what continues to motivate you in your business. Nina, let's bring you on to answer that question.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. So what really motivates me, I have always kind of said that photography chose me. I didn't really choose it. I have always been involved in the arts. So I was a dancer. I've been involved in theater. I sang for a little bit at one point. And I am just in love with storytelling of any kind. And where all of my loves come together is through photography and videography. And so continuing to tell stories, whether that be my own story or somebody else's story, is really what motivates me to continue to make art for other people. Every time I get someone that walks through the door and says, hey, this is, especially if it's for their business, because I love to promote local businesses, because I feel like we need that, especially here in San Antonio. We need to be supporting our local business owners. So every time someone comes to me and says, this is what I want to say, this is what my business is about, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what I love, and they bring all of that to me, and we're able to create something together that is beautiful and that tells their story in the way that they need it to be, and also keeping it creative. That really just keeps me going every single day. It's a really wonderful feeling. And I agree with Elizabeth and Renee. I think a lot of it for us as creatives, as artists, it's very, very emotional. It's emotionally driven. We're emotional humans, we're emotional beings. And so to help someone else in any way, shape, or form, that story was beautiful. I almost started crying too. I was like, oh my God, because that is why we do this. And I think Elizabeth touched on something that I really like. I mean, I totally resonate with that. She said that she was kind of brought up in a household where things were very practical. Like art wasn't viewed as something that was, I guess, viable or you could make money at. And, you know, I came from a background where, you know, my dad is a very practical man, and he was always kind of like that too. Like, hey, like, when are you going to stop doing this and go get a job? But like, it's more than that, right? And so I think for a really long time, I focused more so on the financial aspect of it. And I felt like that hindered me, which kind of sounds funny, right? Because we do this on such an emotional level that I feel like when we have certain blocks, like for me, it was just financial, like everything had to be a certain way because, you know, I wanted to make this a business, which is fine, but I was missing that emotional aspect of it. And so now that, as Elizabeth was saying, finding your purpose, I am like living in my purpose now. And also now that I'm working 100% for myself and having that fantastic creative freedom, I'm building my own dream. I'm not building anyone else's dream. Like those things, like they motivate me all the time, every day. They keep me up at night, but in a good way, right? Because we're so excited to do what we do. But yeah, helping other people, I feel like tell their story is probably the most motivational aspect of this job, which is not really a job, right? But that really just keeps me going all the time, every day. So yeah.
Nice. Helping other people tell their stories. Is that something, I asked a question similar to this earlier, but is that something that you have always felt, or something that you evolved into, that the thoughts and the motivations that you have?
Yeah, I have always loved storytelling in some way, shape, or form, whether that be through movement or spoken word or set design, scene design, working in theater, you know, in the theater world. That has always been something that I have been passionate about and that I've always been drawn to, like a little moth to a flame, like just always drawn to it. So for me, bringing all of that together, all of my experience in lighting, in scenes, in, you know, talking with people and hearing what their story is, all of that really came together for me through photography and video as well, because video is becoming such a huge aspect of what we do. It's just everything's going in that direction. So storytelling, visual storytelling really brought everything together for me. And that was huge, just totally huge.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that, Nina.
Yeah,
Man, you guys all rock. I'm gonna bring all three of you back on and ask you a couple of viewer questions.
yes.
Let's see. Good. Got everybody.
Hey, everybody.
All right. So let's see. Here's a couple of viewer questions. What is the single biggest thing that took your photography business to the next income level? And this is for any one of you. If you have something to share, then go ahead. Nina?
I would say marketing, for sure. Marketing, knowing how to market your business, knowing how to sell your business and your worth has been really, really huge for me. And honestly, that came mostly just from years of experience, maybe not doing those things. So trying different things with marketing and just, again, finding my purpose has been really just said everything. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you, Nina. Renee, did you have something too?
I don't know if you're going to believe this, but what took us to the next level was Digital Pro Lab. Before we met them, we were just jumping from lab to lab, getting our photos printed. In the olden days, when you put them in a folder, you rename the folder 2 5x7s or 2 8x10s, and you burn them on a CD disc and you delivered it to the lab, and then they would take it out and they would somehow do the prints. Digital Pro Lab introduced us to a program and held our hands all the way to learning this program, and through that process made, our labor costs went way down, our print costs went way down. I don't know how long we had a relationship with them, maybe 10, 16 years, I'm not sure. I think just recently in the last few years, I'm going to say 3-5 years ago, I'm not good on the timeline here. We're practically crying when we finally said, well, we got our own in-house printer, we're going to do our own printing. It was a hard separation because Digital Pro Lab did a great job from getting us from about year 2 to about year 13, somewhere in there. They really helped us grow. So finding and it wasn't just the lab with Phil and Ray and Amanda over there. It wasn't just the printing that helped. It was turning to these people for guidance when we got an account and how do we do this, Phil? Or, we got a wedding and how would you do it, Amanda? Or whatever the case may be, we would turn to people who were in the business, who we knew have done some good work, and just partnering with them, and they mentored us a bit and held our hand a lot. They really helped get us to the next level. The other thing was just finding some good people. We've had some good groups over the years that hang around with us every few years. Everybody moves on at some point. Right now we have a great team for the last 4 or 5 years. We'll hope to keep them around as we're growing here. But having some key people in place where I can just delegate and not worry about it also helps a lot. So yeah, go Digital Pro Lab. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Elizabeth, did you want to respond to this question, or do you want to look at the next one?
What helped me a lot is education, learning. Everybody learns in different ways, like Nina said, by doing. For me, it was in all forms, by doing, by getting mentors. I learned a lot from you, Mr. Landers. I learned a lot from you. You are an awesome mentor. You help people see things in the business side of things. I went back to school as well. I started watching a lot of Creative Live online. I took a lot of your courses. I went back to school I took, because I didn't even know how to use a camera. like 3 years ago. I didn't even know how to use it on manual, so I had to go back to the basics. I went to, I think it was Southwest School. So basically just learn. And the more you learn, the more tools you have under your belt, the higher you can charge for your services, because you have more things that you can offer. You can, now I know how to do album layouts, something that maybe somebody else might not know how to do. I can charge more. Just learning, basically educating yourself. Knowledge is power. Learning the business side of things as well as the technical side of things. And it's a continuous learning and growing. So that's what has brought me it has helped me learn how to price myself. And I feel that the more I know in the future, the more, and my goal is to be even more. So like I said, it's a journey, and we're getting there. So just learn. That's the best advice that I can possibly give anybody, from my experience.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Elizabeth. And I have one more viewer question to share with you. And that question is, what is a good host for a website with a gallery? Where do you guys host your websites? Nina?
The first website I had was through SmugMug. And that was interesting because I made it myself and I had never done it before. So that was a super interesting experience. But that was my first website. But now I have a website that was built for me because I had enough fun the first time around. This is my third website, actually. And so I actually don't have a gallery, so to speak. And I guess maybe I'm wondering if the question means, is the gallery where people can click and purchase? Because for digital galleries, I send mine out on something called Pixieset. There's so many different galleries out there to show your work. But I always frequent the local labs here in town for print work. And that's what I do.
Good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Renee, did you have an answer to that question?
If it's to show the pictures to a potential client, I think Jen likes to use the Nina say Pixie, something like that. We're learning that process. I don't mean to minimize the question, but for example, our website right now is being revamped. In the past, up to the last few days, it was all cutesy and about kids and pre-K and daycare and all that kind of stuff, and that was easy peasy to set up, no big deal. But now that we're opening the studio, we're rebranding ourselves as a studio portrait company, and so it needs to be more sophisticated. But more importantly, and what I've learned, what Jen has been telling me for about 5 years, and it finally got into my head, is whatever you choose, this is so important, whatever you choose something that works really well, that presents really well on the cell phone. A lot of people make lots of these decisions looking at these pictures and looking at your samples and your portfolio on the cell phone. For better or for worse, a lot of people make these decisions using the cell phone. So finally got into my thick head, and we use Wix for our website, and Jennifer is revamping it so that it 100% works on the cell phone, and it might work on the PC. Hopefully it will. I'm kidding a little. But the phone right now, it's a paradigm shift. Everything is being decided on the phone and on the fly and quick, and make it convenient and let them text you somehow. So we're about to set up a way. I think some of you maybe already do this. Maybe I'm behind the curve. I know Jen is not. We're going to set up a way so that they text our office number and we can somehow text back, because it's all about texting now. And again, learning. Like one of you, I forgot who said that, but yeah, it's something I've learned. It took me a while, and it's something we're going to have to learn to do and practice here in our business, and make everything presentable on the phone. That's the one advice I'd give, no matter what you use. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Renee. Elizabeth, did you have a one that you use?
I use WordPress, and I created my own website because back in the day, I just couldn't afford $500 for somebody to do it for me. So I was like, I'm just going to do it. And so I kind of learned. And at the beginning, it looked horrible. But like I said, I learned, and you learn. And it's a process. Everything is a process. So I use them for my webpage. You can also do a gallery on there, like if you want to show your work. But what I use, which is also free and it's super convenient and it's super easy to update, because you're constantly you have to, because it's your portfolio. You have to constantly be updating it. So it's super easy. I basically, literally upload files and it's done. What I use for that, and it's free if you have Adobe, anything Adobe, for example, Lightroom or whatever it comes with it. It's Adobe Portfolio. I believe it's, what is it called? Adobe Portfolio. So that I have for my portfolio, and I just add it to my website. So anybody that wants to see my gallery, my portfolio gallery, they can just click on the link. It's there. And that just makes my life so much easier. And anytime I do a session and I love a photo, I want to add it, I just go on there. It takes me 2 seconds. Well, not 2 seconds, maybe a minute. I upload it, done. It's done. That's for that. And if they meant, I don't know if they meant gallery by the way you present your work to the client. For that, I use Pixieset, which is an online gallery in which I present my finished work for a certain client, their session, edited images and all that. I send it to them via that way, which it makes it look a little bit more professional than sending it like via Dropbox or something like that. And so I send it that way. I also love it because it has the shop integrated to it. So that's the way that I present my that's another gallery. So I wasn't sure which gallery they were referring to, but those are the 3 different galleries that I use and recommend.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing all that.
Welcome.
Wonderful. Yeah, there's a lot of good things out there that we can use for that. I definitely recommend a simple website. If it's got too much information, you're going to draw attention away. When you're going back to something you guys mentioned earlier about choosing or defining your target market, defining the kind of people that you want to work with, the kind of work that you want to do, make sure it's very specific. It's kind of like going to, if you go into a tool store, a big box store at Lowe's or Home Depot, you walk in there, you're going after a handful of different things. You're not looking for everything. And so if you're going in there for a screwdriver, you're not going to wind up, well, some of us might, but you're not going to wind up with a whole bunch of other stuff because we've got a budget. And so we're going to wind up with the screwdriver we went in there to get. So make sure you define yourself very well, but keep everything relatively simple on those pages. And in the spirit of that question, that was on the not just the presentation, but also the ability to sell. So hopefully you guys got some good suggestions or some good thoughts on that. All right. I believe that was the last question that we had planned. And so I would like to bring Amanda back onto the screen and help us with closing this. Amanda, lots of wonderful questions here. I guess I should remove that question. There we go. Lots of wonderful questions. I think our speakers were fantastic. I appreciate them and the time and the attention that they gave.
Yes, thank you so much, Elizabeth, Nina, Renee, for all of your time and answers to the questions that we presented you with, as well as the individuals that are actually watching the live stream and the questions that they had. It's very valuable information. So thank you again for that. Renee, I cannot thank you enough for that beautiful testimonial of the several years. If I had to guess, it was about 15 to 15 to 18 years, I think, that you worked with the lab here at Digital Pro Lab, and we saw you grow continually throughout your business. So I'm very, very excited to continue to hear that you are continuing to grow and succeed in this industry, because you and I both know, as well as anybody that's been in the industry for a while, that it is a fast-paced industry, an industry that you need to constantly be learning, innovating, and growing in. So congratulations to Renee, also Nina, and Elizabeth for succeeding in this particular industry. And Jim, thank you again for being a mentor to everybody here in San Antonio, as well as some of these panelists as they continue to grow. You've been a great influence to them, a great mentor. I know Digital Pro Lab over the years, we've always dedicated our time and our efforts to helping see our customers grow, especially those that own their own businesses. Elizabeth, your story on about your grandmother, having that final photo or a photo that, we can remember those that we loved and keep seeing them over and over in form of print. Those are really important, and that's why we do what we do at Digital Pro Lab. The printing is very important. That final piece that gets put on a wall is very important, and everything that y'all are doing as far as producing photo prints and giving those to your clients, it means something. It means something for years and years to those members of the family, today, tomorrow, and always. So thank you for that. Very last thing, just like I told y'all, we were going to give away a promo code, which we do every Portrait Profits at the end. That promo code is success, which you can use in our store on our kiosks. You can go online and actually type that into the promo code. Again, that promo code is success, and we're giving you 15% off absolutely anything that you order when you go to digitalprolab.com and go ahead and place that promo code in any one of our online on any of our online ordering systems. So hopefully you'll take advantage of that. If anybody was going to be placing an order soon, do that and go ahead and get an additional discount. So hopefully you use it. And thank you so much again for your time. To all of our panelists today, Jim, as always, thank you so much. You did a wonderful job, and we're so excited to continue to bring this to San Antonio photographers. And of course, now that it's being live streamed on social media platforms, anybody can watch that from anywhere, as well as look back and see the video again over another, on another day if you want to see what happened again, or want to go and refresh on something that Elizabeth, Nina, or Renee said. That's all there for you to just look back on and learn. That's what we're doing here, right? So thank you so much, everybody.
That's right. Wow. Thank you, Amanda. We definitely had some wonderful panelists today, and Elizabeth, Renee, and Nina. Thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for sacrificing whatever it was that you would normally have been doing at this time and being here for the photographers of San Antonio and beyond. We appreciate your dedication and your caring of the photographers, of all photographers, and uplifting them, because that's what Amanda at Digital Pro Lab and me, Jim Landers at Landers Photography School, this is what we believe in, and we know you do too. So thank you guys for being here this evening. All right, let's show you one more time the next meeting before I close this out. Put this on your calendar, July 19th. That's a week from today. It's at noon. How to get sponsors and alliances, even if you're new. Yeah, you don't have to be established. I mean, maybe you're looking at me and you're saying, well, you've been doing this a long time, so it must be easy for you. You can do it too. I'll tell you how. So that's what's on the next one, getting sponsors, getting alliances. What a fabulous marketing tool. And I want you to add this to the tools that you use to help you get business. For Landers Photography School and Digital Pro Lab, this is Jim Landers bringing you the weekly Portrait Profits Show, giving you evolving content, awareness, and even fun to the business side of photography. We provide helpful information, step-by-step processes, how-to articles, and action steps that will help you with the struggles that you deal with now so that you are constantly realigned to the path that leads to the success you deserve. And remember, success is the promo code for Digital Pro Lab for 15% off. Take advantage of it. Thanks, guys. See you next week. Bye-bye.